asking. You mentioned that if you're elected, you'll be your own man and not influenced by any
Okay,
person. And I didn't know if there is somebody at City Hall who has.
I think what you're getting at is the mayor and the polarized council up there. You have the mayor, you have Steve McIntosh, you have Janet Martin, and Steve Slotkin. And every time it comes up to point it out, the mayor does a leading, Slotkin makes a motion, the mayor seconds it to get a conversation going. They have a conversation, and the mayor got to understand one thing: he doesn't have the right to carry on with the second. He just brings it up to discuss it. When he gets done, he says, "Well, there's a motion on the floor, and we got a second. Let's vote on it." He has to rescind his motion for second. It has to be one of us on the council to make a second. And he said, "Well, we got a motion and a second on the floor. They vote on it, and I think it's wrong. If the charter says he can vote, but he cannot make a second, he's a tiebreaker." But it goes on every time. Today you're going to see the same thing at the end of the meeting. He's going to do the same thing when they discuss a big thing like they're talking about the overplay. He made his comments already, and it didn't. I don't know if it passed or not, but he is a guy that directs, and he's got a, I call it a polarized council, and that's what I want to break up. I'll be sitting next to him in my seat, and I'll ask questions. I won't just go by what he says, because he again has to apply by the rules, commune. And he just, well.
Being in the city as long as you have, do you feel the city operates in a transparent manner?
No.
Is there transparency to it? And if no, why not?
Well, again, it's you have a power up there, and same 4 people. Well, I'm talking about the last 4 years now.
Yeah.
And they just decide what they're going to do and what they want. They try to get it done and pass. They get what they want passed. That's why I want to break up. I don't like the polarization they have up there. I'll be up there sitting in District 3 seat, and I will be my own man. I think Jeff knows me well enough. I kind of speak from the hip, but I believe what I'm doing, and I will not just pass something because somebody else thinks it's good on their thinking. I will have to decide for myself if it's good or bad for the citizens of Bonita Springs, not because of the mayor or you or anybody else. They have to convince me what they bring forth has got to be, for the citizens.
Pete, would a flyover at US 41 at Bonita Beach Road, would that be good for citizens?
No.
Why not?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of business that they have to take on. Where are they going to put it? They'll have to go a half a mile this way, go over, and come back over, and it's going to be right in the where Publix is building a new building, and you go up toward the City Hall. And where are they going to? How are they going to get underneath it? No, it's bad for the city. I wouldn't vote for it.
Have you seen the one that? Well, you've seen the ones in Fort Myers and Naples.
Yeah, I saw the one. Well, you're talking about Golden Gate down there. Yeah, it looks good. I don't know. I never go on it. They all look good, but when you get on this floor, you go up on Colonial Boulevard, sometimes it's a rough time to get onto them.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. I don't believe we need a Passover.
Okay.
I really don't, and I would vote against it, to be honest with you.
If they do build it, do you think it would be okay to add an extra lane on 41, and then when Collier County does something that makes Bonita mad, you could block off traffic in that lane?
I'm not going to answer that.
I wouldn't either.
It's in Illinois, not New Jersey.
Peter, there's special interests that have dominant clout in the city, in your view?
I can't catch that.
Are there special interests in your view that have too much power or clout?
Well, I don't know.
Lobbyists, vendors that you see.
I don't look at it that way about power. They come in and they do what they think is right, and again, it's up to the people in the council, myself and the zoning board, if we think it's right or wrong. I don't believe there's anybody that goes in there and tries to exert their powers. They do what they have to do, and again, it may not be good for us, it may be good for us, and again, we have to look and see what the issues are.
Is Bonita Springs the right size geographically? Do you need to add territory for any reason particular?
No, I would like to see a small town attitude, but we're getting to the point now where we're going out in the DRGR, and that's a big issue that came up about the mine, and that's what's being discussed now, moratorium. I think even Audrey Mann said it was illegal, but have a moratorium, but they did it. They passed the they had an exception where they can go ahead and start right now. So Peter Simmons came up with the idea we should have a moratorium. Well, they took the exceptions away, special exceptions, and they're going to have to wait. Now, when they do that, they have to go a year from now. They'll come up with a study. Then they put it to the comprehensive plan. Then we've got to put it on the ballot, and the ballot has to decide whether we want to do it. See, there's steps that they have to go. You just can't say, well, we're going to do it. There's a lot more steps to doing things, and they don't perceive or tell people what they're doing. There is steps in the charter that say you have to do things. And we're going to have to end up in court, or not in court, but on the ballot, to decide if we go with it or not. So the people have to give a chance to say it. You just don't go up there in the city council, well, we're going to do it. Certain steps you have to do. And at the end, the people have to be heard, and they get a right to put it on the ballot. So that's what's going to happen.
Talking about ballots, do you have a preference for how the little ballot in Pelican Landing goes?
Well, I'll tell you, you're talking about annexing the sterile?
Yes, sir.
think-
Well, yes.
That's
Yes,
what
sir.
you-
Yes.
Well, I think it's wrong. I think we should let them be themselves. That's unincorporated. The reason for it's up there, they have 2 fire districts, and that's where they end up.
Yes.
And that's a little bit further than our city line.
Yes.
I think it's a half mile maybe. And WCI came into the picture now, and they annexed to the city. And they didn't take the Hyatt, but they took the Weeks Split. That gives us a chance now to be able to go across there and go all the way up to William Street if we decide we want to annex it. I don't think we have the right to do it. I think those people have a right to decide what if they want to stay. I'm for it. If they want to, if they don't want to, I'm for it. It's up to them.
So you don't have a preference on how
No,
they vote?
no, it's up to the people.
Okay. Do you have a preference for how the sterile corporation goes?
See, now we're forcing them to become a city, which they really didn't want to be. They wanted to stay in the unincorporated area. So we're, again, imposing something. I don't think we should be doing that. See, Coconut Road, it's actually in Estero. And the thing is, well, we went in there and we tried to take it like we did the Brooks. Well, the Brooks said no. They're by themselves. Now we're trying on the north side of, and if we do that, we allow ourselves to go all the way to William Street because it takes away that 2-mile stretch that they say you have to have. In other words, it's a buffer. And now we don't have that buffer. If they come, if we annex them on our own. I think we should just let them make their own decision. I don't think we should be forcing them into a city, but if they want it, I support them. If they say no, I support them. It's their decision to make, not mine.
About public safety and law enforcement in general in Bonita Springs, is the concept of the government light where the sheriff's office does all the law enforcement, is that working out the way you've envisioned it? And
Well, see, actually, they are Bonita Springs law enforcement. We hire them, we have the buildings for them, we buy the cars, and we pay for their salaries. That is our police department, but the people pay for the sheriff. It's not the city. Well, the city of Bonita pays for the salaries and the cars. They're ours. But it's just county. They are our police department.
Are they good?
Oh, they do a good job in Bonita. I have no complaint with them. They are very good.
it's not necessarily the city council's role, but what do you make of the situation between the fire department and the Lee County EMS where they don't seem to be able to share facilities? I mean, it's probably not ideal, but does the city have a role to play in mediating that?
No, we are not involved with the fire department. That's on our own. It's a different entity of ourselves. We don't have nothing to say about it. If they're coming to a conclusion, I don't get involved in it because I'll tell you why. There's no need to get involved because we can't say anything about it. They are their own entity. They get their own funding. We don't have anything to say to the fire department.
Should you?
Should we?
Should you?
No, because they're not the city of Bonita Springs Fire Department.
But should they be? Should there be a...
Well, you can't change it. I would say maybe we should, but look at the expense you'd have if you bought all of them. We got 2 buildings that are down there doing nothing with, and we keep building buildings and we keep buying ambulances. No, I don't think we should because it'd be very, very expensive to have a fire department. And the same thing with the police department. We're lucky that we have what we have without being involved with personnel and buildings and etc. But the fire department should be on their own. That's the way the law says, and that's the way it's going to be. I don't get involved in that. I really don't. Well,
But as a council member, you'd have a different level of leadership.
Yeah, but don't come to the city council on it. You don't bring those issues to the city council.
People might want to know what you think.
Well, I think they should be left alone because they got their own energy. That's the way the law is. We can't change it.
Hey, what's the biggest quality of life issue in Bonita?
What is the biggest?
What's the biggest quality of life problem in Bonita that you see?
Boy, again, you're asking me something I never delve into because I don't pay attention to we have our different lifestyles, I guess. No, I can't answer that question, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Pete, if you had your druthers, what would happen at the dog track?
Pardon?
If you had your way, what would happen at the dog track?
What would happen at the dog track? You're talking about the slot machines?
However you choose to look at that.
Well, I think the dog track's its own entity. At one time, they were going to put a casino there, but they were going to move out on the DRGR area, by the way, and they was defeated. Yes, I was on the zoning board, and we zoned it for it, but then they couldn't do anything with it because they couldn't build on the DRGR where they wanted to put it. And now they're going to talking about putting a casino in the building where we're at now.
Right.
They're going to expand it and put a casino in there. And the main thing right now is slot machines. That's the step. We can't do anything about the slot machines for 4 more years. The state has a contract with the Indians that they have to get that out of the way first. Then they can come back and talk to us about the slot machines. But the county has something to say about it. Lee County, Fort Myers. They can come in and say no. Naples can come in and say no, we don't want it. It's a little bit further. I would like to see it for the revenue. Don't get me wrong, but it's, again, 4 years before you can even think about it. And I think, well, why make plans until we find out whether or not they're going to continue it? The state has an awful lot to say about that. You just don't go up and say, we want it, fine. But the state has the final word on it. The contract is there for 4 more years.
Make sure I understand. I don't think I was aware. The zoning board looked at a proposal to build a casino in the DRGR.
Well, they came in and they wanted to put the zoning change.
They wanted to change some zoning out there.
And we couldn't do it because it's not commercial.
Okay.
But they wanted to go out in that area.
Pete, when was that?
Huh?
When was that?
Oh my gosh, we're talking about 6 years ago maybe.
Wow, the family that owns the dog track.
Pardon?
The family that owns the dog track wanted to do that?
Yeah, they wanted to build out there. They wanted to, see what they wanted to do on that property, they wanted to develop it. They were going to have a lot of stores and apartments in the middle. And then we were going to do that, make a casino like it is now. But again, it never went nowhere. It was just a thought. And, a resolution came in, they'll approve it, and it didn't go anywhere. So now we're waiting to see what's going to do with the slot machines. That's the main issue now. But they do have plans of building the front, putting a shopping center there, and I guess apartments in between it.
Yes.
That's as far as I've.
And you would support slots and casino in the city?
I don't know. I wouldn't support the slots, but if the people want it, they're going to get it. I don't believe it, because when I was on the council, we had Harris came in.
Okay.
He opened up a casino and a lot of slot machines, and boy, what came after that was a lot of troubles. You know, it created problems. Unless you have a person or 5 or 6 police around there, because when a person comes in and says, oh, I won, they went outside, they bop you on the head, they take the money and run. I mean, that's what happened in Jordan Chile, I'll be honest with you. I don't think we should have open gambling. But again, I'll go gamble.
But I thought you said earlier, I would like to see
Yeah.
it for the revenue.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, the revenue's there. It could
So,
help.
But I mean, so then you got balance. You got the problems versus the revenue. Which one does the scale tip?
Well, if you're looking I would look at the revenue if they got the police department or if they have their own police to protect the citizens that go in. That's the main thing.
So I would just want to make sure we're correct. You do support it for the revenue if there's a way to use that revenue for increased law enforcement? Other than that, or do you?
Not to increase. They have to provide their own police department.
Do you or do you don't support open gambling? If it came before you, would you vote for it, or would you vote for it with certain parameters?
Well, I would vote for it if they got open gambling right now. You know, in other words, that doesn't bother me. It's what would be if we have slot machines and you bring in a lot of people. Until it gets down to where it settles down, you're going to have a lot of problems at the beginning. I went through it in Joliet, and I would not like to see what we had in Joliet, where they came in and they had a few riots up there, and people getting bopped on the head when they came out. Again, they have to protect themselves. We don't have to supply them with the sheriff department. They have to present their own police department. The revenue is good there, yeah, and it's going to bring people, good jobs. They claim it's going to bring jobs. So we'll see what happens. That's 4 years down the road. They may back out by that time.
Pete, we have 3 minutes left. Do any of our members have any last questions? I want to make sure we get in before.
We've covered DRGR, annexation, Estero.
I'm still not clear on where you stand on the whole gambling and slots.
Because you mentioned that you're concerned you would leave it up to the will of the people.
Yeah. Because that'll be put on the ballot too, whether they want it or not, because it has to go to that process about the gambling.
I thought that's already happened.
No, it hasn't. When did it go on the ballot?
It was the Lee County referendum.
Well, that's Lee County, we're talking about Bonita.
Well, Bonita was part of that.
Yeah, but see, we're the people that are wanting this, they're saying we in Bonita have to okay it. Fort Myers now, they would prefer we don't have the slot machines.
Because they want them.
They would prefer to have it themselves.
That's what I mean, okay.
Let's be honest, I mean, they don't want us to have it, but it's also, you call it Naples and Fort Myers, Collier County, Fort Myers dog track. And the gambling goes to both, you people down in Collier have a say in it too, when it comes down to the point. Fort Myers doesn't have the right to come in and say, hey, we want it, instead of Bonita getting it. They want to move it up there. And that's discussion that goes on. It's nothing where they bring it to the council and discuss it on the open, in the paper. I read the papers, and that's where you get most of your information. In fact, a lot of stuff that they talk about, you tell us through the news press. You're not the news press, but the newspapers. And you give us a lot of good information, sometimes it's bad. Oh, and then I was going to say one other thing. Must have been a line.
Pete, you get the last word. What would you like the last word to be?
Goodbye.
Hey.
No, that was too easy.
If you need to tell a voter why they should vote for you,
Yeah.
what would you tell them?
I'm a nice guy. I'm good looking. I don't have any women chasing me. No, I think that I'm sincere. I don't make promises I can't keep. And I believe in the charter, and that's what I mean. Anyway, I keep bringing that up. We overlook the charter, and we just don't abide by it. I do. I take it with me every time I go to a meeting. I bring it and say, hey, the charter says it. And by the way, we still do have term limits. And we don't have it where they can do what they want. It says 2 4-year terms. They go ahead and they just usurp their powers. The court said it was illegal, but our city attorney, she just does what they tell them to do. I don't believe that she should be told by the council to do a legal thing when she's supposed to be our representative. And I like Audrey, but she doesn't do her job all the way around. And I mean it. She knows it. I've discussed it with her. In other words, she's a good person for the zoning and the LPA and that, but when it comes to legal, we pay outsources. What I'd like to see them do is, she's going to be retiring pretty soon. She said that herself. I'd like to see them bring in a concern that comes in, and they do the legal, and we only pay them when they come to the city council, give advice on the per diem. She has too much responsibility, and really she outsources all of her things to other legal departments. We don't have a firm legal department. I think we should have a source that comes in, and they should be our legal department.
As needed.
Yeah. In other words, they don't have to sit there. When we want some advice, they come in, we pay them as they go. We don't have to pay them $400,000 a year or whatever they want. They come in so much an hour. I think it's $200 an hour. But that's one of the things I'd like to see changed. And she's going to retire, so I'm not picking on her. And I wouldn't like to see one person in the position she's in again.